Good evening, everyone. Leah Dixon here from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. I am live with my new regular Monday night Facebook Lives. So I'm going to be testing out 7 p.m. on Monday nights now that I am working full time. So I hope that you guys can join me. When you do pop on, make sure to say hi. Let me know in the comments who's watching. And here we go. I'm going to switch over to my desktop so that we can get started. Right, there we go. So the product that we are using this evening is the Holly Jolly stamp set. This one is absolutely adorable. I love sets that have like some fun fonts and then a few little symbols that you can put with the fonts. It's always really nice. What I also love is that this one comes with a stamp set that cuts out your images, cuts out your word joy, has some labels, and then also has a fun hybrid embossing folder that goes with it. So really, really cool bundle. And then just as something like a little bit extra to pair it up with, I've paired it with the patterned tags dies. When I saw these in the September to December mini catalog, it was the first thing that I knew I needed to have. You've got your basic tag, some fun little decorations, 3 overlays for your tags, and then if you don't want to tie a bow with ribbon, you've got some paper to do a bow out of paper. So really, really fun tag dies. All right, we're going to set this off to the side. And I'm going to keep my stamp set and dies for the Holly Jolly around because we're going to need those. And I'm going to get started. So this is one of my card classes to go, which means that with a $65 purchase, you actually get the paper kit that you need to craft these at home and watch the replay and everything. And my PDF that I send out actually includes a link back to these videos. So here we go. We're going to open this up. So the paper that I chose for this particular card class has unfortunately gone on the back ordered list, which means you can't buy it currently. It's supposed to be coming back November 17th, so that's like 2 weeks from now. I thought I'd go ahead and use it anyways because oh, interesting. I don't think this is the same paper. All right. I thought I'd use it anyways, just because it will be coming back into stock. And I do have 5 kits extra, like on top of what I've already got for in-person classes. So yeah, so I am using a slightly different pattern on this one than I did on my original. I think that's because I didn't have enough to do a demo in addition, so I cut myself a different color. It works beautifully regardless. So let's pull these pieces out. And so we've got a piece of basic white here and a little strip of designer series paper. This is the Traditions of Christmas DSP. And it was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the whole suite was gorgeous. The stamp sets and dies and sentiments and the sequins and everything. And then Stampin' Up! Actually went ahead and did a like a craft class with the whole thing. So really amazing. If you've got this paper on hand, definitely something you want to check out. All right, so now I just glued this on to the edge of my basic white. There is just like a tiny little border there of white. So I am going to go trim that off because this is the inside of my card. It doesn't have to be an exact size, and I don't want that white showing. So I'm just going to pop over here and trim that. All right. And now with that trimmed, I'm going to put this into the inside of my card. So this card is almost a regular card base, except instead of being 5.5 by 8.5, it's actually 5.5 by 7.5, so that when we close it, when we make this card fully closed, we still see a little bit of our DSP shining through. So that was kind of the goal here, is we have an almost full card front. We still have a nice spot on the inside to write, but when we close it up, we see a little bit of that DSP showing through. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is glue our other piece of DSP to the card front. So I'm using 2 different DSPs on my sample and on my card that I'm making tonight. They're both gorgeous. They both have the real red in them with the gold little accents and everything. So it's going to work out regardless. And this just shows you as well, like at home, you can grab whatever DSP you have and use it. Okay, so with that done, I'm actually going to set that off to the side for a moment, and we're going to do some stamping here on our little tag. So if you're just joining me, this tag was cut using the patterned tags dies. So we've got all those beautiful tags with the backgrounds and then some fun overlays. This is actually the only card I'm not using an overlay with. So we're just going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment. So I am using "May the spirit of the season bring you hope, happiness, and love." So just a really beautiful sentiment. I'm going to pop that onto a block. Ink this up with Secret C ink. Sorry, that creates such a glare when I put things there. All right, so ink this up with Secret C. And I love these ones because you can see through and see if they're inked or not. And there we go. It's kind of as centered as I can. There we go. And we have our sentiment. All right. I'm actually going to give that a little clean while we're here. So I'm just going to grab my chamois and clean that up so I can put it away and continue to use this block. Okay. So now that we have that stamped, I have a piece of real red ribbon here. It does have one side that's shiny and one side that's not. So when we put this through the hole on our tag, I want to put it through so that my shiny side will be like on the outside when I pull up my ribbon like this. So I've got the shiny side here. So I'm going to do that. And then I've got a piece of baker's twine. This is the black and white and gold black baker's twine. So you get a roll that's black and gold and a roll that's white and gold. And so I just kind of did a crisscross on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and tie my bow. You could tie a full knot if you wanted and then do your bow. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to, just because it will help my bow sit a bit nicer. So I'm going to do a second crossover. So good old Granny's not here. And now I'm going to do my bow. All right. Now it will just sit a little bit better. Okay. So that through, and you just want to make your bow whatever size appeals to you, like visually. And I'm not trimming any of the ends on here because I want to put it on my card first and then trim it to my card size. So I'm going to flip this over and grab some dimensionals and put those kind of one in each corner. The bottom corners, I'm going to keep them in just a little bit. And actually, I'm going to put one extra in the middle just for good measure. All right. So when you attach this to the front of your card, you want to make sure that you're not attaching it to the DSP that's actually on the inside. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to kind of hold it from beside the dimensional that I've got there. That way for sure it's going to stay on my backing. You can put this on as much or as little of an angle as you'd like. And now that that's attached, I'm going to grab my paper snips and trim up all my ribbons. So that one needs a bit of a trimming. This one, and then we're going to come in here and trim these as well. I want them to stay on my card front. I don't want them going off the card. So there we go. And then our final touch here is to go ahead and add some sequins to this card. So I am using the traditional sparkling sequins. So in your kit, you'll get just a little strip here of the gems or the sequins that you need. And if you don't have your take your pick tool on hand, the tip of your scissors can work as well. I just want to make sure I'm picking up the adhesive backing as well. So I'm using a large, a small, and a medium of the red sparkling sequins on this card. And that is the first card all done. So it's just, a really fun little layout, and these tags are just beautiful. The sentiments in Jolly Holly are amazing. And so to pair them all together just made a lot of sense to me. So there's my first card for this evening. Let's see, put that off to the side. My second card has a lot more stamping on it, but it's a good kind of stamping. So we have some designer series paper on this side, and then this whole side is actually all heat embossed. So when we open up our card, first of all, we can kind of see where we can write that's going to remain hidden. And then when we open our card, we still have some fun gold accents, but a space to write in as well. All right, so let's grab our envelope here, and I'll share some of my little tips and tricks here with you for making this. So when I cut this fancy patterned die, I actually cut it out of the piece that got cut off of our card front here. So we actually chopped this down, and I used that extra piece to cut this. So when you get your kit, you do want to double check. I was simply cutting, not really spending a lot of time pulling out all the little bits that are in the tags. These are quite detailed, some of them. So just go through and make sure that all the little holes have had their pieces popped out. And then we are ready to go with that. So I'm going to get a few of the pieces out of the way, and then we'll work on the embossing on the inside. So first things first, I've got this. Now I just want to, I'm pretty sure this is the way I want my piece to go, but I just want to double check with the pictures on the front that, yeah, that's nice. So we can see the little blue flower and the leaves are going the right way. So you just kind of want to make sure that the orientation of your DSP is going to be pleasing when you put things down on top of it, and you're not hiding anything that you would want to have remaining. So like if I wanted more of this pink flower, I could actually turn my page the other way and then see what that would look like. But to me, it looks upside down, and I'd rather have the blue flower showing. So here we go. So again, just like the first card, we're going to put that DSP on the front. But this time we're not actually going to put that piece of white down yet because we want to do some stamping on it. Okay. So there's our DSP. And we can go ahead and put our tag together as well. So you've got a white tag and a cherry cobbler patterned tag. And the two are actually going to go just together, just one laid over top of the other. So there's a few ways you can do this. You can grab mini glue dots and put them in to strategic places. They do fit quite nicely on here. I'm actually going to grab a mini glue dot, just one or two, just for up near the top. I don't want to get any glue kind of going where I don't want it, and I want to make sure that this doesn't slip and slide either. So I'm going to use 2 mini glue dots right up at the top. I'm not ready to put these 2 layers together yet, but I am going to peel those backings off, because the next thing I'm going to do is actually grab some liquid glue and do some very tiny dots of liquid glue. And I'm trying to avoid any spots where there's like seams that the glue could go through. So I'm just like, these are really tiny dots. Okay. And there we go. Now remember, I don't need glue right up at the top there because I have a mini glue dot there already. Now I'm going to pick this up from the sides, from the edges, and lay this down right over top of my white tag. Now I press down my mini glue dots first because it's going to hold everything in place, and then I'm pressing down everywhere else. Now if you have like a corner, oh there we go, that seems to be popping up, you can add a bit more glue to it. So I'm just going to come in here, flip this over, add a little bit more glue. The other thing you could do is, if you're die cutting these pieces yourself, you could put some adhesive sheet on the back. I kind of thought about that a little too late. All right, so we've got our tag all put together, and then we're going to take this piece of baker's twine. So again, that white and gold baker's twine. I'm going to put it right through the center. Pull my 2 ends together and come on down, and I'm going to make a knot on here. I'm going to double knot this, and I want my knot to fall kind of on the front of the tag, not on the tip of the tag. Okay, so tie that twice. So good granny's knot again. And now once I have that knot in place, now I can go ahead and make my bow. All right. There we go. And again, you just make this as big or as small as seems appealing to you. And now we're going to attach this to the card front. I'm going to put 2 dimensionals right up here. But then, instead of immediately attaching the rest to my tag, I'm actually going to place this kind of centered and come in and put 2 dimensionals on my front flap. This is going to assure me that when I put this down, it's going to stay attached, but it's not going to close my card up on me and have it all glued shut. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to come in here and kind of center that. There we go. All right, now I can trim up my ribbon ends. There we go. And I can start my stamping now. So I've got a sentiment to stamp and the background piece here to stamp. So let's grab the pieces we need for that. So for our sentiment, I have a small piece here, and we're going to stamp Bright and Happy Christmas Wishes. Oh, there's my stamp set. So I got Bright and Happy Christmas Wishes. There we go. And I need a block for that. There we go. I am going to use cherry cobbler ink for this, and it is quite a tight fit on this little piece of paper. If you don't like stamping like that, go ahead and grab a bigger piece and then trim it. I'm all about using all the scraps, so I don't mind stamping on the smaller piece. Also, these are clear, so they're pretty easy to see through and get them straight. All right, if that didn't work out for you, you can also always flip your paper over. Or like I said, grab a bigger piece, stamp it, and then trim it. Okay. So we're going to clean that up, and now we're going to do some stamping with our Versamark. So we are going to need a little flower and a little leaf image here. And we're going to stamp those all over our basic white layer in Versamark. So I'm going to get a smaller block for these. So just a little tiny one for my poinsettia and a bit bigger for my leaves. There we go. So first things first is I want to clean up my piece of white. So I'm going to take my embossing buddy and just go over it to make sure there's no fingerprints or anything like that on here that are going to grab my embossing powder. All right, now I need my Versamark ink. And this is a little bit tricky because you're stamping in Versamark. We're going to be stamping multiple images, and it's really hard to see them. And then we're going to add our gold embossing powder afterwards. Now, when I stamp these images, I am trying to create just like a little pathway around my card. So I am going to start with my poinsettia just because it takes up the most amount of space. And so I want to make sure I get them in, and then I'll place my leaves around them. So I'm actually going to do like a triangle. So I'm going to do one poinsettia up at the top, one kind of off to the side, and then one down. So that just created like a triangle shape. Now, you guys can't see it, but in person, I can kind of see my Versamark. So I'm just going to come in and stamp some leaves around so as to not cover up anything that I've already stamped. And sometimes it's just about moving your head to the right angle, switching things around. All right, and one more. And so all of my leaves, I stamped them so that they were going off the edge. That'll become quite apparent in a moment here when I dip this into my gold embossing powder. So I've got a tray of gold here. And we're just going to dip and pour. Okay, so there we go. We have that. I'm going to just do a little tap off. And then I can use my finger, or our embossing kit comes with a little paintbrush. And I can come in here, just carefully wipe away any excess. Okay, so there we have that all covered in our gold embossing powder. And I can go ahead and heat emboss this now. So I don't really need to use like tweezers or anything to hold this because it's a big enough piece, so I can just heat it up from the side. right, there we go. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are just a quiet bunch tonight or if the comments aren't coming through for some reason. I've been having some problems with my internet today, so kind of annoying. All right, now that we've got this piece embossed, we're going to go ahead and glue that to the inside. So if you're here and watching and you haven't said hi, just say hi, put your name in the comments. I'd love to know who's here. And if you guys are commenting and Facebook's just being weird or YouTube's just being weird tonight, then hello, and I'll read the comments when they decide to show themselves. All right, so we're going to pop that inside, try and get it straight. There we go. And then I do like to actually just put it upside down when I do this. That way I don't accidentally catch edges. Okay. So now that is inside our card. When we close this, we can still see it all peeking out around the edges. But it gives us a clear line of where we can write inside our card. All right. Now I am going to take my Bright and Happy Wishes and attach it to a gold foil banner that I cut. I don't like using liquid glue with foil paper though. So you have some choices. You can use mini glue dots. You can grab tear and tape, seal plus, whatever you like, and just some kind of dry adhesive to attach this sentiment to our gold foil banner. It just saves you a whole lot of headache because liquid glue on gold foil just ruins it. If it ends up smudging or anything, it just looks awful. Okay, so there we go. We've got our sentiment now attached to our gold foil banner, and we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of this and attach it to our label. So 2 should do. Let's do a 3rd one just in case. All right. So 3 little dimensionals. And when I attach this to my tag on the front, I'm centering it top to bottom and I'm letting it fall off the edge a little bit. Okay, not too much, but just a little bit. So find that dimensional you put on the back. Don't let it fall off the edge. That's how you're going to know how much to put off the edge. Okay, and there you have it. That is our 2nd card completed from this card class to go. So put those to the side. And we'll bring in card number 3. All right, this one is so pretty. So this one I think is my favorite because it's got the stripes, it's got the little piece of holly. I absolutely love it. All right. So in here, you've got all the bits that you need. And so that includes a piece of Secret Sea cardstock that's been embossed with the Jolly Holly embossing folder. So I didn't use the dies on it that made it like a hybrid die and the holly leaves like pop up a little bit. I just straight up embossed this one and left it at that. So before we glue this piece to our card front, I'm actually going to take a piece of DSP and again, just like we did with the last one that had like a busy pattern, kind of look at it, figure out which way looks right to you for being upright. And I'm going to glue this down and we're leaving a thin border on 3 sides when we glue that one. Now, this one, you could use liquid glue. You could also use tear and tape if you wanted or some kind of stronger adhesive. Just to make sure it really grabs onto this thick embossing folder and holds tightly. I don't like using those other adhesives because although they hold really well, I need some wiggle room when I go and put these down. I can't rely on putting it down straight the first time. There we go. All right, so that's glued down. And now that we have that in place, we can go ahead and glue this to our card front. Okay, there we go. And that goes right to our card front. All right. So with that done, we can put that to the side for a moment and get to work on our tag. So we have a pool party striped tag and a basic white base. They get layered together, so you can go ahead and use liquid glue, you can use mini glue dots, whatever you like for putting these layers together. And so I'm just going to do a very thin bead of glue. You don't have to do every layer either, with things going over top, and just the structure of the tag itself will hold it in place. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Make sure you do get into the corners and do the corners. That's kind of the real key. And I'm going to pick this up and place this on top. Okay. There we go. And then we'll just give that a minute to really grab on. All right. Now I have this beautiful red ribbon again. I am going to put this through that hole on the tag. And just like I did with the twine, I'm going to put the two ends together and kind of find the center. I'm going to crisscross. Now this time I'm only going to crisscross once. I'm not going to make the big granny knot. So I'm going to crisscross once and get this right on the front of my tag. And then I'm going to make my big bunny ears and cross these over and make a beautiful bow on here. Okay. So there we have it. And then you just play with it until it's sitting the way you want it, the right size, the right everything. All right. And that's looking good to me. Now I just have to trim up the ends. Now normally I would wait and put this on my card before trimming my ends, but this one I know based on the tag how big I want these, and so I find it easier to cut this not attached yet. There we go. So there's our beautiful bow on our tag, and this can get attached to our card with dimensionals. So this time we have no edges to fall off of or anything, so we can just go ahead and put this straight down. Now I did kind of attach it so it overlapped the two layers. And it's just slightly more to the left of our card than center. Okay. So we'll bring our card base back in and pop that down just like that. All right, now we're going to work on stamping our sentiment. Oh, hi Lisa, thanks for joining. Okay, so I have got these. I'm going to actually clean up this and put my holly on this block. There we go. So I've got my holly on there, and then I am going to grab the Hava and Christmas, and then I'm also going to grab the word Merry. There we go. So I am going to mount these separately. So I'm going to start with my Merry, and we're going to put that onto a block. So my Mary, I'm going to go ahead and stamp it in real red. And I'm stamping it kind of as close to center as I can. You know, we're eyeballing it. We're not getting out rulers and being too specific here, but there we go. So we've stamped our Mary in real red. And then I'm going to stamp my Hava and my Christmas above and below this using my Secret C. All right, so there's a few ways you can do this. You can go ahead and place the stamps around the Mary and then pick them up on the block, or you can put one stamp at a time onto the block and just stamp it. So just stamp your Christmas and then stamp your Mary. I personally like picking them up on the block at the same time. So I'm coming in here with my Christmas how I want it, and then my Hava how I want it. And when I'm happy with how those look like in terms of being straight and if they're to the side or whatnot, when I'm happy with that, then I take my block and I pick it up. So now I can grab my Secret C ink. These are lined up, and I can come on in and stamp that. This is a great way to do it as well if you're doing multiple cards, because then you can just, you know, do the same thing again and again and again. So there's our Hava. Oh, and I don't need to put that away yet. I'm also going to stamp my little holly on the square in Secret C. So that is all done. Now I'm going to color my holly with Old Olive for the leaves. So I'm going to start with light Old Olive blends and then come and add the dark in afterwards. There we go. You can do it the other way around and you'll end up with a slightly more muted look. I like having the dark kind of be more bold, so I do it second so that it doesn't get faded down. There we go. And then for our holly berries, I'm going to take the light real red and color my berries. And then my dark real red, I'm just going to come in and give them a little shading on one side. Now, if you don't have the dies, you can go ahead and fussy cut this. However, if you have the Holly Jolly, hi Danielle. If you have the Holly Jolly, you are going to go ahead and die cut this. So you're going to put this on there and we're going to run it through our machine. So this fits through my mini machine, so that is exactly what I'm going to do. There we go. All right. So pop those on there and roll it through. All right. And we've got our sweetest little holly there. I love these dies. The cuts are so crisp. They're so easy to line up. Just so easy to use. All right, let's put that away before I lose it. There we go. And we can get started adding these to our card now. So for my sentiment, I'm going to go ahead and put down a dimensional. You can even go ahead and like put it right on your card front. And then on the other side, under like basically the M of Mary, I'm going to put just a little bit of glue. So now I'm going to pop this down And beautiful. And then our little holly, I am actually going to put on with dimensionals. So you can either cut up the edging of your big dimensionals, or you can come in here with mini dimensionals and put one on each leaf. You can put one in the center too if you wanted. And we're going to pop this onto our card. And so just kind of beside the Mary and the Christmas, just like that. And then to finish this card, we're going to use our gold sequins. So I'm going to come in here and grab a large one and a small one. So I always kind of like to balance them. So I put the large and the small, and then the medium. Oh, did I get the backing? Yeah, I did. Good. And the medium will go up here. Actually, I'm going to put it all the way up there this time. It's just a matter of like where does it seem to fit. So there we go. All right, and that is our third card for tonight's card class to go. So I hope you guys are enjoying these. I love the papers. I love the tags. The patterned tag dies are so cool. And this last card really highlights those tags. So the basic, like how these are laid out, I had seen another card online. She had used some other colors and stuff. So I went ahead and grabbed a piece of the DSP, and we're just going to fussy cut it. There are dies, but I actually don't own them. So if you have the Traditions of Christmas dies, you are in luck, because go ahead and die cut this. But if you're like me and you don't have them, then we're just going to grab our snips and start cutting this out. So even though this is kind of like the last thing that goes on our card, I'm going to start with this piece, because then everything else just kind of goes together so quickly. This is just the little time-consuming part. All right. So we'll just cut that out, and I'll just let you know, for anybody who's first time watching me or hasn't heard about my card classes to go, I do an online card class to go at the beginning of the month. So basically I'll walk you through making the 4 cards, and then for the remainder of the week, if you place a $65 or larger order with me, I will send you the PDF for these 4 cards. It will have a link to this video in it. And then you also get the card kit that has all the paper bits you're seeing me pull out of these envelopes, all the little ribbon bits and everything. All of that's in there. Your little strip of sequins is in there as well. So you can fully make these. You just need your own inks and stamps. And if you don't like fussy cutting, your own dies for the holly and this flower. But really both are fussy cuttable, if that's a word. And yeah, so that's what you get for $65. Now, if you don't live within Canada, so then you can't place an order with me, I do have an online PDF shop. And about an hour after this video ends, you will actually be able to find the PDF with the link back to this video available in my PDF shop. And I mean, you can also purchase it if you live in Canada. There's no rule saying you can't, but you won't get your paper kit if that's how you choose to grab the tutorial. So that's the advantage of being in Canada, is you can place an order with me and then get the whole paper kit and everything. So little perk of being in Canada. So here we go, almost done. It's not a super hard fussy cut, it's just a long one. There's a lot of bits to it. All right. They're all pretty easy and smooth. There we go. So we have our gorgeous flowers cut out. Now, the rest of this card pretty much just gets glued together. You have got 2 pieces of basic white in your card kit. You do want to make sure that you're using the smaller one. Okay, the larger one is for the inside. The smaller one is where we're going to stamp our Merry Christmas. So now this Merry Christmas is actually 2 words. You saw me use the one Merry, which now I don't even see where I put that stamp. Oh no, so we're going to need it again. Oh, I put it back. Ha, look at me. Okay, so I like to actually take the Merry and the Christmas and lay them out again. Sometimes I'll even lay them out. This kind of helps. You've got your grid on the glass mat, or you could do this with a piece of paper that has the grid on it. And I find this especially helpful for the Merry because with the capital and the Y and everything, it can get a little wonky. That's also maybe just a little too close. So this way I can set the E and the R on a line and know that I'm getting them straight. And then we're just going to grab a block and pick those 2 up together. So now they're going to stamp nicely. Instead of trying to space them and stamp them nicely when they're already inked, this just lets us go ahead and line them up ahead of time. And then we stamp our Merry Christmas onto the bottom of our smaller piece of basic white. Okay, that is it for stamping on this card. Kind of ridiculous. Let's grab our glue and go for it. So we're going to take that layer that we stamped and we're going to glue this to a real red layer. And then we're going to take that and glue it to our card base. So here we go. Now at this point, I like to grab my white insert and glue that in. It's an optional thing, especially with a card that's a pool party base. It's really not a necessary layer, but I think it's a nice finishing touch. So I'm going to pop that in there. Okay. And now we are going to glue our tags together. A lot of tags here. We have 2 Mossy Meadow tags, 2 very detailed Old Olive tags, and then we have all of our little bow pieces. So to start with, you want to make sure all the little bits are poked out of here because, again, I did the die cutting, but I did not necessarily go through and clean them up for you. What came off as I pulled them out of the dies is kind of what came off. So now the little greenery that comes out of the inside here is really useful. I would keep it. You're going to start to see it on other cards because as I was prepping, I saved all of my little green bits. So now I have all this greenery to tuck in and use on other cards. And I just think that's fantastic. I had a lot of these to prep. So, okay. Just about done. Just a few little bits. Oh, I hope I don't sneeze. I just, apparently it just got a little bit chillier outside and our furnace just came on and it's got that not been used very much burny smell to it. We've been really lucky that it hasn't been that cold yet. I think that's changing. All right, so you can use liquid glue, mini glue dots, whatever you'd like. If you put a dot of glue on here and it's too big, just start dipping into it and dragging it around to other places and using it that way. Okay, so I'm just going to do a whole bunch of little dots, especially in the corner here. Don't miss your corners. Okay, so we've got all those little dots. I'm going to flip this over, pop it down on top of my old olive, and there's one ready to go. And now we'll do our other one over here. There we go. Alright, and then we'll flip this one over. Now, these bows are so fun. So if you don't like tying actual ribbons, you're going to love these little bows. They literally just layer on like you wouldn't believe. So we're going to take the bow that has like the extra pieces. I'm going to flip it over and put a little dot of glue on the back. And then I'm going to take one of the bows that doesn't have the little drop down pieces. And we're literally just putting it behind in the little V there. And then to make it look like it's a real bow, go ahead and put another little dot on the front. And they've given us the tiniest little piece here that looks like threads. Let's just see if you guys can see that. It looks like the little threads in the center of the bow. Isn't that adorable? And so all three of those pieces die cut out in one go when you run the die for the bow through. You get all three little bits. So again, a little dot on the back for your actual bows. There we go. And then you could use mini glue dots for this as well. And then a little dot of glue on the front for that sweet little piece that makes it look all tied together. Oh, come on. No. Now you do want to make sure that this one goes on straight. Like you don't want to put it on sideways. You want it to actually look like it's wrapped around and tied. All right. Now that's enough with our fine tip. I'm going to flip this over. These two pieces I'm going to glue down to my card front just so that they're like an equal space on the two sides and in the center. And we don't have to be too careful here. It's just come on in with our glue, swoosh it everywhere, and voila. And this one. So this card is a little bit heavy for those of you who like mail and stuff. Might not be a good one for the mail. I suspect it's going to be a tad overweight because we have all these doubled layers for the front, doubled layers for the tags. Like it's a little bit much. All right. So then I am going to use mini glue dots for this next part. And I'm actually going to grab some of these bigger ones that I got out of a paper pumpkin. They're more like the size of the ones you'd get in the box than the small ones that come in the paper pumpkin. And I'm going to put a mini glue dot, over the hole on each one. And then use my scissors to take that backing off. Here we go. And I'm going to take my bow and put it right there. And same with this one. There we go. So there's the bows attached. And now we finish up with some dimensionals and some sequins. So my flower, It's going to get dimensionals up and down the middle. So there and there. Just like that. We're going to attach this to our white tag, and I am attaching it so that it's covering up the hole on this white tag. I don't want to be able to see the hole there. Okay, and then you can attach this with dimensionals or with liquid glue, your choice, how thick you want this. I already figured it's an overweight card. We might as well make it over thick as well. So here we go. Peel those backings. One more. Oh, didn't come off. There we go. All right. And I am going to go ahead and place this right between the two. I want to make sure I'm not covering up my words. Have that pretty centered. And voila. And then we finish off with our sequins. So I put the 3 blue ones down here below. Okay, come on. Really got to clean up my desk so I can find my take your pick tool. I know it's here somewhere, but it hasn't been seen in a few days. Alright, and up there. And then I'm going to put some green ones up on the green. There we go. And the last one. Alright, beautiful. And then that is our 4th card all finished. So that is card number 4 in our card class to go. Oh, don't worry about it, Kim. I'm trying out a new time, and I'm not sure it's going to work out for viewers or for me. We'll see what happens. The replay will be available really soon. And yeah, so these are the 4 cards that we're creating this month for our card class to go. And yeah, I just love them. I love the patterned tag dies. I can't wait to make a few more actual Christmas tags with them, in addition to using the tags on Christmas cards. And yeah, it's just a really fun one. So thank you so much for joining me this evening, those of you who could make it live. And thank you for watching the replay if you're watching this on replay. This card kit to go will be available now through Friday, and then I will cut, well, actually they're cut. I will mail them on the weekend before my next Monday live. So thank you, thank you. The craft fair went really well, Kim. If you are going to be out this way, I'm going to be at Riverside Church on November 15th and Amsterdam Gardens on November 30th as well. So you can pop by and say hi. So I hope you all have a wonderful evening. This time change is killing me, so I'm going to go do what I need to do with this video to get it available for you guys, and then I am off to bed. It's been a long day. Take care, everyone, and feel free to message if you have any questions. Bye-bye.